Hey, hey, hey. As a wise man once said, I'll make a toasty. If you're lucky, I'll make one for you. How are we all doing? As always, I am very happy. Pommy Oz to the left of me. I've got the amazing, the ever-essent, the dulcet man himself, Mr. Lekdog. How are you diddling?
What's fucking going on, boys? I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited. I know it's not finals yet, but boy, it feels like it. And for those who don't follow me on Twitter or didn't watch the fan cams the other day, I did the maths on how many losses I've endured as a member. I've seen 284 losses. I'm ready for finals. Let's smash these orange team fuckers. Let's make a big splash in 2 weeks' time.
If you're not following Lekdog, what are you really doing with your life? I mean, Lekdog is brilliant to follow on a Friday when he's had a few beers and you check up on his well-being because he starts posting just numbers with no context. Completely confused with that day.
There's always a reason. There's always a reason.
And joining us, as always, the man wearing vintage living Liverpool cobber. He's got his co-partner back on the navy blue corner. He's a man that has never been negative ever once in his life. He doesn't even know what it looks like. The wonderful Ian Brownie. How are you doing?
Oh, Pommy, great as always. How can you not be up and about? The Blues are playing finals, 10 long years. Oh, it's just beautiful. And yeah, was able to track down my podcast co-host all the way from Europe. About time. It was like 8 weeks in the making for that one to drag him back. He's been a bit of a good luck charm, that man leaving Australia, and all of a sudden Carlton start winning. And he says he's going to come back the week we play the elimination final. But I think there's a lot of people currently waiting and queuing out at the border to make sure he does not re-enter Australia, because we've been winning while he's gone. But no, very, very happy and keen to be talking about the team this week, and then keen to do our first final teams. My goodness, how good's that?
You know, it dawned on me. We have a group chat going. I said this is the last time we have to do a normal team. The next time we do this, it'll be finals. It'll be finals, which is weird. And your co-partner, Ian, I tell you what, he missed some shit, didn't he?
Oh, he did. He did. He's missed out big time. I mean, part of me would almost trade sitting in Melbourne for Europe anytime, but not now. Not over these last 8 weeks. You couldn't pay me to go over there.
He might have to take my passport and live in England. I'll happily donate it to him if it means we keep winning. But we're here to do probably the most intriguing selection. As you can see, new background, same team. Michael Voss still continues just to put players just in weird positions for banter. I always explain this every week, and every week without fail, someone PMs me and says, why have you got Newman at centre half back, Mackay at forward pocket? Divert them questions to Michael Voss. But obviously, lads, I'll start with you, Lekdog. I mean, at this stage, really, you could have Bevovic, Brownie, Williams in that fullback line, and they'd still win, wouldn't they? I can't hear you, Lekdog. Ian, can you hear me?
Oh, I cannot. He's killed his microphone here.
Ian, I'll ask you while Lekdog fixes it, because we had massive technical difficulties offshore. Ian, obviously at this stage, anyone can play down the back half of the ground, can't they? He just seems to keep winning.
Come back.
Oh, mate. If they need to select someone, please, I'm happy to play and enjoy this wild ride we're having. But it almost doesn't matter. Like, I mean, Fish has been the big one that has stepped in to a role that he's played about twice in VFL football. And all of a sudden, he looks like one of the best attacking halfbacks you could possibly have. And it's just incredible how well things are rolling at the moment. We obviously have that first quarter, which was abysmal. Nothing was working. They didn't look like they were at the races. There was just such a lack of work rate. But it's just a massive testament to every single one of these guys that they knew the problems, addressed it, came back and won the game of football. And it just goes to this thing that has kind of been built over this 9 win streak that you can plug anyone in anywhere and they lift and they find a way to get it done. It's just incredible.
think you nailed that, Ian. It is like plug and play, isn't it? Carlton have created the first plug and play team that you can put any old USB in this team and it wins. Now, Lekdog, talking about plugging things in and playing it, are you back to talking?
I think I'm back. I'm back. It makes sense. I plugged my headphones in, so my microphone stopped working. Mate, I reckon we could just play 22 debutantes this week if we had them, to be honest, and I'm still confident we'd come away with the win. Maybe leave Paddy Dow and Zach Fisher in as a bit of leadership and experience, but other than that, don't need to play anyone else. It's bloody beautiful what we're doing. And yeah, look, we can't start the way we did against Gold Coast against anyone else for the rest of the year. That's not a recipe for success, but hey, they dug deep. They found a way to win, and we could all, well, I don't know about you, Ian, but I know for a fact Pom at quarter time was calm and relaxed. I wasn't calm and relaxed, but I was confident still that we'd locked in the win. Wasn't worried. The 40-point deficit. Put anything you want in front of these boys. They're just paying us back, paying back the faith.
They are indeed. They are indeed. I mean, I was calm and collected. Few people in chat can attest. Mate, I was calm, mate. I am actually in a situation now that I can't fully remember. I'd have to go back to the great Rangers sides of the 90s or the Man United of the late 90s, noughties, where I just have a belief in these boys that no matter how they're starting the game, I know they're going to finish strong. I actually, it's weird, but I'm watching them now and I don't know how everyone else feels. I just know they can do it. Like, I didn't feel phased. I was like, you're having a bad moment, but I knew something would happen. And lo and behold, these guys are mental. I have a blind faith. It could be blind faith.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense to the way I think I was watching that game, where I was similar. At quarter time, I was calm, but I wasn't calm in the last 5 minutes when the game was on the line. I tell you what, but it's that belief that I've never had in this team, where you just feel like you know that they can turn it around. We saw it against St Kilda. We know what this team's finally capable of. It was just a matter of getting it done. And I mean, I'll plug myself and the podcast on Twitter, because I sent out a Nostradamus-like tweet at quarter time saying, I don't feel like the scoreline reflects the game. It feels like we're still in this, that we're closer than it seems. Said we just needed to correct a few things, slow the tempo down, get the ball in our hands. Because I think Gold Coast had kicked 5 from 7 of their goals direct from turnover. So it felt like we just weren't doing the right things. We were struggling with their pressure. But there was that weird belief that, okay, it's a ridiculous 40-point deficit, but these boys can do it. And it's only Gold Coast.
I just want to answer the question. A few people saying we have to solidify 5th. We have to work hard this week. We can't take the piss. Correct. But I'm pretty sure if my maths is right, the only way we can lose 5th position is if we lose to the Giants and Sydney beat Melbourne by like 60 to 70 points. So we're in a strong position. Obviously, winning is the best answer.
Lekdog, did you just subtly find my ban on percentage talk? Did you find a loophole? You found a loophole there.
I didn't mention anything about percentage, mate.
Bugs Bell, there will be a mock draft. We are doing another live mock draft as well with the people you see here, but we've got to add trades. A trade period, live trade period this week. So stay tuned for that. But currently I have him 20th. But let's, I suppose, get into this. And we're going to go reverse order we did last week. So Ian starts us off. Ian. Fucking, we haven't seen you swing the axe since round 12, and the axe came.
About time, mate. I've watched 9 weeks of this rubbish, and it's these boys have to go. I'm looking at a few of these leaders, Cripps, Doherty. I've had enough. No, of course not. It's not a drop. These guys are not getting dropped for the most part, but I have gone with some sweeping changes. I do agree with the sentiment, though, from Lekdog and yourself, and it looks like the chat saying, no, we need to win. We don't just go resting the whole team. And that's kind of what it is to an extent. But I think when you're looking at guys like Cripper and Doherty, they look pretty beaten up. Particularly Cripps was wearing a bloody mattress on his ribs during that Gold Coast game and been battered hard over the last couple of weeks. So for me, I just think if you're not 100%, which I guess most players aren't at this stage of the year, but those that seem to be struggling a bit like Cripper, I know you got that like pre-finals bye anyway, but just give Cripps a rest, particularly knowing you've got a Chera, you got a Walsh that need to find some touch, need to find some form. Makes sense to bring both of those guys in. And then I think Cripps and then a guy like Doherty as well, who looks a bit beaten up, probably hasn't been his best the last few weeks. He's just been battling hard in a big position, having to really batten down the hatches in that midfield with a few injuries. So those two get a bit of a rest. And then elsewhere, I think Gov has to come in, one of our better defenders. And unfortunately, I think Marchbank is one that makes way. Hasn't been amazing. It's been okay and has to shoulder a bit more responsibility in this team, being that kind of second key defender, which we maybe haven't seen him do before. And I just don't really see another spot for him. Kemp's better than Marchbank, and unfortunately, I prefer the balance of the smalls. So Gov straight in for that swap there. The other one is Martin. Now, this is not a dropping because Martin's been one of our better players, particularly over this run of form, but I just don't trust this man's body. So it is just kind of, look, he's been so pivotal and so important to what we've been doing with his pressure, with his just never die attitude, tackling two blokes at once on the wing. He does everything. And so for me, I'm just wrapping him in cotton wool for finals and not worrying about it. And the other reason for this, which I'm happy to debate whether we need to rest him for injury anyway, but my other kind of thought on it, because Fogarty is coming in, is I don't know who to keep over Fogarty and Cunningham, to be honest, at the moment. I think Motlop and Oezy are locks for what they've been able to do over the last 4 or so weeks. So I've kind of gone, okay, you've got one round, one more game as a bit of an audition for finals. Whoever plays the best, whoever shows it, gets to stay in the team, because they're almost a bit of 50-50 for me. I know they play different roles, offer different things, but the moment I just want to see a full game from both of those, allows you to rest Martin. And then the last one really is that sub, and talking about the midfield mix. I don't think Kennedy finds his way into this team. If everyone's fit right now, it's kind of similar to the Fisher and Boyd argument currently, where it's, look, as soon as you make your way out of this team and someone takes your spot, you don't just get it back. And if someone else is performing, they keep it, and Hewitt's earned it. But in saying that, I wouldn't mind, in case, and fingers crossed there's not, but if there is any injuries, you've got guys like Chera and Walsh coming back. You want someone to have some touch, and so make Kennedy the sub. It's either him, it's either Ed, or I don't know who else you could probably throw there. Maybe a Boyd. Why not give Kennedy a quarter or so just to get a bit of touch, find a bit of form, and I don't know, maybe put someone else on ice, maybe put Chera and Walsh if they get 3 quarters in, say that's enough. But yeah, that's the team. Pick it apart.
My first thought is, look, I don't want to mess with whatever's happening with Jack Martin. Seems like they've got it. I reckon all of his injuries come in training, not in games. I just want to I don't want to touch that. He can stay in. I'm perfectly fine with that. I think he probably needs the continuity, whatever he's doing for the last 10 weeks. Just keep doing that. So my fear is actually that by taking him out, you're increasing his injury risk. Because I swear to God, how many times have we got to like Thursday teams and it's like, oh, by the way, Jack Martin did his calf training, out for 4 weeks.
Well, I'm happy to split the difference and literally say you're not playing, you're not training, literally put him on ice, freeze him in a cryo chamber, do whatever you need to do. And it's just like, that's it, mate. You'll 4 you're out for finals. Don't even jog. Don't even walk.
And I guess the only other one, I haven't addressed this. I've taken the coward's way out when you see my team. I haven't addressed the Fogarty Cunningham thing. I think you're right that we probably need one of them to be the pressure forward. We need one of them to be in the team. And I like the idea of having them both in to sort of compete for that. But yeah, I don't love Kennedy as a sub because we know who the sub's going to be for the rest of the year. We know that. And I don't think Kennedy's getting back into this team this year. And I think that's just bad luck in terms of timing for him. I wish we had a twos game this weekend, which we don't, that he could play in. There might be some scratch matches, I think Paolo was saying the other day. So I would rather just see him run a full game out in a practice match than run as the sub against the Giants, personally.
Yeah, I feel like, and this is maybe just me making it up completely, but almost in my head, perfect scenario was give Kennedy a quarter at AFL level, and then, I don't know, Sunday night, even a little bit after that, maybe you do it the next morning, have a scratch match and give him some sort of time somewhere else. Don't know what you do, but yeah, I kind of agree. I do like maybe Kennedy having a full game somewhere. I don't just want him to have that little block. I don't know what you can do. Get him down to some local footy somewhere. I don't know what you need to do to give him some touch. But it was just more about, we've obviously got a lot of midfielders coming back from injury that you just don't know what can happen. Any injuries can happen. And if he's that next one that would break in, apart from Paddy Dow obviously playing, I just thought maybe a quarter could work. But yeah, I maybe agree with you there. You know, it's Ed Kerno.
The other thing, Pom, I'll ask you this question. There's a lot of chat. We should rest these guys, give these guys a go. But we are going to have to make, and we've been foreshadowing this for weeks now, but coming into this final, whoever it is we're playing, wherever the game is, whatever, we're actually not going to be able to just rest players. Players are going to have to be omitted and players are going to have to be added in. So we need to work really hard on working who that final side is, which is hard when you take out Martin, Doherty and Cripps, because you're basically saving yourself a hard decision this week by pushing it out to next week with those three players being rested, right?
To some degree. I feel like I know what changes I would make, maybe apart from Fogarty Cunningham. So I think that's my soft option of just, I want one more week to figure that one out. Everything else I reckon is there. But yeah, I've definitely gone a bit bigger in the changes this week to just say, look, the game doesn't matter as much. I know there's that other bye. We get a week off anyway, but Cripps and Doherty are the ones that look like they really need a rest. And then the Martin one's really just for me to figure out my last spot.
And Pommy, there's
like
a good chance. Oh, sorry. I was just going to throw a question your way to get you in. Good chance, because we'll know basically everything that's happened come final teams being locked in on Sunday. There was a decent chance for some late outs as well.
I think they'll do the extended bench, and I think you'll see, I think Geelong did it last year. Something Scott talked a lot about the year before when they got knocked out, that they need to find a way of the B graders being good enough for AFL level so they can mass rotate players. I think you've got a stiff job. Like, I think as much as people may in the comments, and I've heard on Twitter and socials, Kennedy's got to come in because they like him, which, to quote Roy Keane, I feel is nonsense. I think literally what you've seen over 9 weeks is this is the core 22, maybe barring Fisher and Dow moving forward. I think Voss now knows these are the kids he can trust. So I think anyone who's not in it, with the exception of McGovern, Cherrett and Walsh, they are guaranteed to play. So I think that this hard decision, what Ian's done, although I think Martin's probably the one I'd question of Ian. I think I'm like you, Lekdog. I think how he's playing, and I'll come to it on my team, a bit of a spoiler, but Cunners has gone from 80% game time over the last 4 weeks to 60, and then he was subbed, which Voss did indicate it wasn't tactical. He said that it was management, which I thought was interesting, I would say he's number one of the rest. So I like it though, Ian. I think you've got to do it. I mean, Cherrett and Walsh have to play a week. Because, like, I know Paolo was talking about scratch games, but fuck off.
It's not the same.
They're playing a finals game. It's not a regular season game. It's going to be a finals intensity. For me, Walsh and Cherrett have to play. And to be honest, I don't care who you drop, to be honest. They have to play at least 80% game time, full bore. So I feel you, Ian. It's tough, this game, because there's probably all your outs don't deserve to be out. But then the people you've got in, none of them deserve to be out either. So it's going to be a very tough. I think you did a good job, Ian. I thought your explanation was spot on, to be honest.
Appreciate it. And like, if you need a bit more to go towards the more changes that I've gone for this one, go a bit more sentimental with it. There, one more game in front of a home crowd. Half these boys are about to get dropped for finals. So give them one more hurrah in front of the home crowd. Get them there. One more cheering off before we drop Paddy Dow.
Mate. No, mate. I mean, it's going to be interesting. This is probably the most interesting team selection. And Lekdog, you know what? For the first time, right? Usually they call me the Axeman. Bit of a spoiler. You're going to actually be shocked at Pom's team. Pom's changing, but Lekdog, you caused it, didn't you? To be fair, let's be honest.
Yeah, I took the Cards way out. So the logic is easy. I don't want Marchbank in the team, and I want McGovern in the team. I want Cripps to have some extra time off with those ribs. Walsh and Cherrick can cover him, and Cunningham, as you said, time on ground has dropped. His pressure acts have still been high and higher than some of the other options in this team, but I'm just worried about how much he's got in the tank for the rest of the year. So the way I've got it on my screen, I've actually color-coded all of this. So the back six is the back six, right? With Chincotta as the seventh defender on the bench. Looking forward a week, this, for me, and I know he's a core part of Vossi's team, for me, I'm giving him one more week to cement himself for the finals. Otherwise, I'm potentially looking at Jordan Boyd. But he's done enough over the last 9 weeks for me. He had a slight down game on the weekend. He's done enough for me to stay in that tide. So the back six and him are your defensive rotations. Your wing rotations, Akers, Hollands, and Cottrell. Cottrell can also be the sort of 6th or 7th forward. My forward rotations, Martin, Harry Mackay, Charlie Curnow, Jesse Motlop, Matt Owies off the bench, TDK, and then potentially Cottrell as that 7th. He can rotate wing and forward. He's been playing a lot of forward. And then the mids. I haven't messed with the mids too much. So Hewitt, Walsh, who I'm starting in the forward line, but he's a midfielder, Doherty, Chera, and Paddy Dow are my 5 core mids. And there's enough talent in this list to be that 6 rotation. But really, we've been playing with 5 core mids most of the year. And then, unfortunately, next week, I'm looking ahead. It's Paddy Cripps comes back in, and it's probably Dow or Hewitt, and it won't be Hewitt that comes out of that side. It's going to be tough next week. Next week's a tough one where we're going to have to essentially, I see us replacing a mid and potentially forward and potentially a defender heading into the finals, into that final. They're not going to get cute with the team isn't going to get cute with the sub. I don't think all of a sudden we're going to hit finals and they're going to go, okay, maybe now we look at a Dow, or maybe now, I know he played some games as a sub, maybe now we look at Cunningham as a sub. I think they're going to stick with Ed Curnow for his reliability, his versatility, because just, he can play in the mid, he can play in the forward, he has had stints on the wing. So I don't think they're going to be too cute, but I've essentially kept it really simple. I want the best team on the park, not necessarily this week, but next week. Cripps, rest up the ribs, come in, dominate the following week, and it's probably, unfortunately, and I hate to say it, it's probably Paddy Dow that comes out unless they move him around and play him in a different role. But I really like our team at the moment, gentlemen. Like, you've got to play the 3 that are coming in. You have to play them. So it's tough, but we've actually got depth, and this is the sacrifice. Guys like Boyd and Cunningham and Fogarty aren't in my team. If I had full control, I would consider maybe not playing the 2 rucks, but that is locked in. That's going to happen. We're going to play 2 rucks for the remainder of the year.
Mate, I think it's simple. I like it. I like the Cunningham out. Spoiler, I did the same. I just think that was Voss has given evidence. Chat, I have adjusted. That's my fault. Akers, Cripps, Hollands is literally actually permanently locked.
Yeah. It says Hewitt on my screen.
No, I've just changed it.
Oh, okay.
I was talking,
yeah.
Because I'm clever.
Yeah. So that was Hewitt in the mids. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, mate, I agree with you. And I think Hollands is too good to drop at the moment. I mean, he's led our pressure acts the last 3 weeks and led our defensive and forward running. So,
that's why I kept him in, Pom, because
one I want to ask,
Yeah.
Right. And I'll cover it in mine a bit more, but I wanted to know your opinion. Cottrell is the real interesting one for me because Voss has changed his role massively over 3 weeks, which screams Chera Walsh coming back because they're going to steal that rotation. Do you think that, and my gut feeling is Cottrell and Cunningham, now Motlop's playing higher up the ground again. They're really fighting for probably one job.
Yeah.
Where you've got Walsh.
Well, and you're right. And I haven't had to address it in this team, but I think potentially next week, Cottrell could also be one of the unlucky ones. You bring Cripps back in, Walsh and Chera move out to the wing a bit more. You find that rotation. We've seen Doherty earlier in the year play in the forward line as well. We know Walsh can do that. So Cottrell might end up being the unlucky one. But what I would say is, and we're big fans of that on this show, is that Cottrell should be the sub every week for us. So I know I said before they're not going to mess with Ed Curnow as a sub because they're not going to, but there's a world where Cottrell has to come out and maybe he's the one that goes to sub. But I was looking through his heat maps today, Pom, and he's played kind of that defensive wing. He's played wing. He's played purely forward. He's been thrown around a bit. Even Fisher, he's played 2 of the last 3 games in defense, but they played him on a wing for the game, and that was one where they sort of reduced Cottrell's time up there. So I think they're still not 100% sold. Well, sorry, they haven't had access to their full wing rotation the last few weeks, and that's because Walsh and Chera haven't been in the team, particularly Walsh, who they like to push outside a fair bit. So, again, I think that's probably a next week issue that they look at when Cripps. The assumption is for me that Cripps isn't playing. If Cripps is playing, a very real situation that Cottrell comes out and they use Walsh or Chera in a combination on the outside a bit more.
It's such a good argument because I feel like Carlton fans massively underplay Ollie Hollands and Akers' role in this turnaround, and both of them are top 5 for speed, defensive running, ground covered in transition. That is insane, and we saw it last week. Right, when Cottrell went on the wing, Carlton got peppered. Right, peppered because he hasn't got the pace. He's got the engine, but there's a total difference in blocking it back. Right, coming back and creating that wall of 9. And I don't think there's anyone in our team that can do it. And there's a reason. Last year, Akers and Hollands didn't exist. Right, so I think there's a massive reason how that's changed. So I think it's a real predicament to be in that basically Cunningham, Cottrell, these players were best 22 at the start of the year. It's hard to fit them in because then you fuck a rotation. And I found that hard with my team. Like, you fuck a rotation if you get rid of one because you've got to find that rotation. Akers playing at halfback this week. It fucks a rotation if one player comes in because you can't rotate him to play the player you've taken out. It's going to be a real chess piece for Voss.
Yeah, it is. And I just wanted to touch on what you said about Hollands. And you know, before I did the deep dive today, I was looking at his raw stats going, he hasn't been that great. But you look at what he's actually doing. You don't need to just look at his disposals and his marks and that. The 31 pressure acts, 18 were in the defensive half. People say, you know, he's not strong enough or he's not big enough. I've seen that in the comments, and this is not attack, but he makes up for that with his effort and his repeat efforts. And, you know, he gets bodied off the ball, but it doesn't stop him from competing and contesting the possession. So for me, he's someone I don't want to pull out of this team at all. I want to, unless there's, you know, he puts his hand up and says, I can't breathe and I can't run anymore. I think he's really vital, as you said, Pom, to what we've been doing.
Yeah, I love Hollands. I think, you nailed it. Like, his ability to just get to the right spots, and then when he's there, he seems to impact them in a way every single time. Yeah. And I think he's vital. That the rotation thing's going to be so interesting once you throw everyone in fit. And yeah, I think Cottrell could be the one that does make way because, like you said, there's Walsh, there's Chera, there's Doherty that I like as well, impacting from the wing, particularly from like a center bounce. I think that's a really smart thing to use, him just coming straight off the square. We saw that at stages when we did have a midfield and how well that worked. So I think you can probably find others to rotate through that if you need, and if you need a Fisher there as well and Doc to go back. I feel like there's a lot of versatility, but maybe that is something that ends up giving Cottrell an advantage over maybe a few others. If they need one last spot, is you can throw him around in a few other areas. It's the best selection headache to have, because we're not looking at going, oh, geez, who can we play into these roles? There's about 7 blokes that can do it and do it well. And I really like your team. I think, to touch on the Cunningham one, because he was the one I had in my team, if I wasn't, say, resting Martin, he would have been the one I definitely took out. I would have kept Fogarty in and moved Cunningham out. So I agree with you on that one. I think he's been classy enough with just his ability to pick up the ball when you need him to, around the stoppages and that disposal. But it's just everything else I feel like has really dropped off lately, and every single person that you've named is nailed on.
I think one thing I just wanted to flag as well, we talked about this a lot last year. We had Setterfield, who played that defensive wing role, and we had a combination of people, Lockie O'Brien, whoever it was, playing that offensive wing role. And if you looked kind of deep, if you look through all the heat maps, go to DFS Australia, you'll see, guys, this is for the chat, you'll see, I know you guys know this, but you'll see that Akers has been playing that offensive wing role a lot more. His score involvements are high. He's hitting the scoreboard. He's pushing the ball forward, whereas they've looked at Ollie Hollands to play that defensive role. So his impact has shifted as the years gone on. He's probably got a bit less flair, and he's probably a little bit less attractive because of where he is on the field, but he's vitally, vitally important to this team. So I just wanted to reiterate that to everyone in the chat, that these wing rotations on point.
Mate, 31 pressure acts. That's the most of any winger that you'll think of. And like, if you go back and watch that, great comment by Odin. If you go back and watch that first, he's directly responsible for stopping about 5 entries.
Yeah.
Like 5 entries, which if you go back and watch Ed Langdon and Carl Amon, who are regarded as the best wingmen of the last 10 years, them guys would have given up that chase. They wouldn't do it. So, I mean, it's an exceptional thing, but so tough. Like basically, think when Zach Williams comes in, name 6 footballers you like. They ain't fucking playing.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. We tried to do this the other day, didn't we, Pom? The best 22. It's impossible. It's impossible. Well,
here we go. Here we go. And it helps me answer the wonderful Narelle's question. What impact do the lack of the VFL games have? Well, this is interesting, right? I try to think in the box. So McGovern straight in for Marchbank. If anyone complains about that, I'll preempt the anger. Sorry, Jazz. Chera, Walsh, Locks, they have to play. And the only major change is probably Corey Durden, and that is because of the direct to the VFL. I really enjoyed his game this weekend just gone in the VFL. I looked at Fogarty. Fogarty is a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 footballer. So it doesn't matter. Like, he can play whenever he needs to. Durden, for me, needs the minutes in his legs, because if there is an injury to our Smalls, becomes an issue. It becomes an issue, which I want to give him 10 minutes, 20 minutes, get the engine going, because as we know, finals is a team game, 30 players. It's not 25. So that was the change. Pitternet might be a surprise. I figured that Pitt has been pretty pants the last couple of weeks, and looking between the lines, Voss is giving TDK more and more responsibility in the ruck. Looking at GWS literally just go one-on-one with their ruck. They have very limited rotations. So, and the thing with their ruckman, they tire. Their ruckman has massively tired in the 4th quarter. So for TDK, I feel like that helps him out. As for rotations, Cunners, 60% the week before he got rested. It was about the same when he got substituted this week. Give him the week. Give him the week off. And Cripps might be the surprise. I'm the only one who's got him in. Do you know what I mean? The way I looked at it, Motlop, Martin, and Owies between them have now subsidised what Fogarty was doing on his own for the first 4 weeks. And I want Cripps there. Like, at the worst case, you knock him off at half time, but Cripps has played with an impacted disc. Do you know what I mean? Cripps has played with bones bruised. Like, for me, round 24, the end of the year, why rest him? Do you know what I mean? Last week, his game was good. A week is a long time in football for Cripps. Why would I can't think of a change. Do you know what I mean? I think people have overblown Cripps, and I think Voss was kind of on with that. It was very overblown. Like, he's played with injuries before, and if you speak to people at the club, some of the things Cripps has played with and you don't know about will make you cry. So I went in with a team with finals in mind. Walsh and Chera, for me, have to play. They need a game. They need a game for finals. This is the game. Cripps needs that synergy because he's been working with two midfielders that are totally different to Walsh and Chera. He's been working with Dow, who is a very direct run. Walsh and Chera like these zigzag runs. So they need that synergy again because it's a total different game plan. Dow keeps his spot. If we're all honest, Fisher and Dow, one of them will come out next week. In 2 weeks' time in the finals. That's a lock. So let's make this the last chance. Dow and Fish, Cottrell to cement the place and go into finals. And Corey Durden gets a quarter to show us what he's got. That was my team. Nice and simple. Ask away, chat.
I think a good question I saw is this Pitto? Is that him done for the year for you, Pom?
Negative. I think there's still probably a chance he plays. For me, I just the last 2 weeks, they're not even Ruckman stats. Like, he's got battered and hit out to advantage. One to a Ruckman with a very low hit out to advantage. I don't know if he's injured. I don't know what it is. I don't know if the change of the system is too much. But you can see Voss. Whittaker went in the ruck for taps this week. Cripps went back in the ruck. Blooming Kerno took 2 hit outs in the forward line. Like, for me, he's not got as high a time on the ground. For me, the way I'm looking at it, I would rather sacrifice that position against a team that doesn't have a strong ruck core. This is the week. Do you know what I mean? TDK gets a full game. The midfielders do it.
GWS do give up a lot in the midfield and at centre bounces.
So I
their
figured
strengths are in small forward and small defenders.
And TDK's numbers have been sky high when he's played with Walsh and Chera. Like, that was the start of the change because of the way they do it. So for me, I just feel this is flooding with midfielders, flooding with rotations, and let's see how this goes, because I think that I can name 4 players in there that I would be surprised if they're named in a grand final. I'll say that. That I've got on that thing. I think other players will take their positions as push comes to shove. So I thought, give the guys a chance, but go in with as close to your strongest team as possible, which I think that them names are all the strongest team with the exception of Cunningham, but that's a rest. He needs the week. He needs a 2-week break.
Yeah,
I'll ask the question.
Oh, go for it.
I was just going to say, I'll ask the question that I know is coming in chat. Pom, who's doing the hitouts when it's not TDK?
Couldn't give a fuck. 2 Ruckman is massively overrated. You know what I mean?
We've seen Cripps take it. Harry takes them up forward, which I like. I actually, we had this discussion last week when I dropped Pitto, and now I've got Pitto back in. Like, I agree. Who fucking cares? Someone will do it.
Yeah, that was my thought process. That basically GWS hardly rotate their ruckman anyway. So, and their ruckman, let's be honest, isn't a first choice ruckman. So TDK,
it'll be Briggsy.
And TDK had a winning record versus him last time they played. So he should feel very confident in this game, TDK. Cripps there, Hewitt doing the body work, Cripps doing what he did last week, being more of the stopper, the defensive presence. You've got Walsh, Akers, and Dow now to help around. Let's have a week where we can play all these mids, knowing that next week we change it up, and I think they all deserve a bit of sentiment, like my friend Ian said. I think a lot of the players that were in this 9-game run deserve to run out home and say goodbye before the real shit starts in 2 weeks. But I don't think we should rest anyone, really. I've just rested Cunningham because, let's be honest, he hasn't played for 8 years. He'll be knackered playing 9 games in a row.
And the Pitt discussion's funny as well. I mean, I love Pitto, and you called him like Pants earlier, said he'd been Pants, but I don't reckon you can say that because Pants they're a lot more useful because he has been ordinary, I'll be honest. Like, there was that one passage of play, I think it might have been in the second quarter in our defensive 50 where he's genuinely a meter away, and I don't know what happened, but he just stood there and he didn't go to add pressure. And I don't know if that's an injury. I don't know what it is, but he just does not seem like he's impacting or really doing anything right now. His strength isn't there. And I think every single time later in games where De Koning has come in, we've looked better. We've gotten the best out of things. You could make the argument that De Koning's able to do that because Pitto's maybe taken more of that ruck load earlier in the contest, but I don't know. I was flirting with dropping Pitto myself, so I don't hate it. And past that, like the Corey Durden shout, it was pretty much my reasoning for why I wanted Kennedy to be the sub, so I actually don't mind it. My kind of more question for you would be around that Fogarty and maybe even like a Cottrell as well, because you've decided to keep Cripper in there this week. There's quite a lot of mids that can kind of rotate wing, half forward, while you've got a Cripper in there. You've got a Hewitt, you've got a Dow, as well as those bigger bodies in there. Where do you kind of see Cottrell's role with so many mids that can be used on that wing, half forward? And what's your, argument, on Cottrell staying in rather than that pressure from a Fogarty? I'm keen to hear.
Well, I mean, I looked at Cottrell last week, and he's been shifted a lot, and he plays his best football for me. Like, I saw someone in the comments saying he kicks goals. All but 3 of his goals this year have been Joe de Goose's. So, like, all due respect to Cottrell, I can do that. Do you know what I mean? Like
he runs fast enough to get ahead of the play.
Yeah, well, the two goals he kicked a couple of weeks ago, he was stood there. So I thought about that, Lek. But what I'll say about Cottrell is his most aggressive work has been high half forward, the Cunningham role. So I figured this week that is probably where Cottrell keeps his position. If he can nail that role down, and then Walsh rotates a little bit, Akers rotates a little bit through the halfback, which is what Akers is doing. So that would suggest to me Akers won't do that halfback role. Now Cherra's back because that's where Voss likes to station him. And then Mr. Hollands goes the other side, which has been an interesting dynamic to give him more offensive time. So to answer your question, Cottrell for me was just going to play the Cunners role. Like, pinch a little bit higher up the ground if you need to, but try and give us that overlapping run on the left-hand side of the ground and try and keep that spread play. So for me, that was as simple as that. I felt like I'm having a mini battle here with 3 players for one role in this game. And it's the last chance because I don't think you should try anything in finals. You should just do with what you know.
No, I like it.
Well, that's what I was actually going to say, Pom, while you were talking there. Like, this is the week to try something if you're going to. So if the selection panel decides, you know what, Pitto's not been performing, we're going in with TDK, he's going to be the number one ruck. There is a very good chance that we are playing GWS again in 2 weeks' time. So if you go in with just TDK and he gets battered by Kieran Briggs and they dominate and they come out and they beat us and they win, well, then you go, all right, the following week, when it really actually matters, we'll assess the ruck situation. So I think this is the week to actually try some stuff because, as you said, you don't want to stuff around in the finals. So I've actually come around to your Pitto thing. Also, I dropped him last week and got panned in the comments. So, you know.
Well, I mean, I've been watching GWS's rucks, and they've been playing 2 rucks for the last couple of weeks, and both of them have been averaging 55% on the ground. So the reports are they're not even, they're not even 100% fit. So TDK should be looking at this and thinking, I can stretch them. And all TDK's got to do is doing it. And let's be honest, second half, Voss played him 88% in the ruck. TDK was like has been given that responsibility. So I don't mind it. Do you know what I mean? There's been some very good players that you're looking at 20 hitouts, 20 ruck contests around the ground that TDK hasn't done. So, Jesus, 10 Whittaker, 10 fucking Mackay, chill out.
Chat's going to hate that. Let's pick this team, boys.
Let's do it. Right. Okay, chat. I have got this as we used to have it. So let me change this and load this up. Here we are, chat. Look at this. We'll do this again. Right. Lekdog, do some filler while I do this.
I'm just texting my partner to turn off the heater because it's 700 degrees in here and I'm pink as they come. This cannot be what I look like for the finals.
Lekdog,
yourself in a tanning salon. Let's get that going. Spray tan for the finals.
I'm warm. I'm gonna strip, all right?
Now, this is what the people came to see. Do we need to play some music for this? What's going on?
Well, I was thinking next week, this is a request by Lockie Jack, is if we could do a live best 22. So I thought us three could spend the week with chat. Well, spend the night doing it with chat.
Can we have a few beers? Is that allowed?
Yeah, mate. I don't care anymore.
That sounds good.
Mate, I don't care anymore. We're winning flags. Right, chat. Yeah, I think that's where Pom is. You should be able to see that. Let me see if... Does that look better there, yeah? Brilliant.
That's a bit better,
right.
Yeah.
Right, so, Lekdog, let's do it. Backman. All right. Give me a backman, baby.
I think I say this guy every week. I'm going to say Brody Kemp.
Yeah.
You happy with him there?
That's where Vossi puts him. Vossi will have him full forward. It doesn't matter.
Okay, we'll just put him in the centreman. Mr. Ian, who do you want?
I'm keeping Zach Fisher in there. He deserves it.
Zach Fisher. I'm going to bring in McGovern.
Beautiful.
Right, so chat. Lekdog, you read them names out.
I will. Sard has already been named. I'm going to ignore Lockie Jack as I do every week. Oh, now the player maniacs are in. Lockie Jack has got this posse on Twitter that come in.
Even my mate Andy's got involved, for fuck's sake.
You got to respect it. Respect the hustle.
Weeders, Newman, Sard. Weeders, Newman, Sard.
I think Newman and Sard are locks and Wheat are in by the looks.
We don't need a stuff around. We know who the defenders are going to be. Pom Cotter, Paul says.
What does Paul say?
I think we'll make sure. He said Pom Cotter, but I think we'll make sure we find a. I'll do everything I can to make sure we find a spot for him.
Right, okay, so Lekdog, we've lost Whittaker, we've lost Sard, and we've got Newman. Okay, so we need midfielders, chat, and Lekdog. Lekdog, you start putting your three names in chat for mids only, and Lekdog, who are you saving?
I want to put Chera in the guts.
Are you playing him as a follower, or are you going to wind everyone up and put him here?
No, he's a follower. That's George Stewart's spot you just highlighted. Walsh. Chera, Walsh down. Oh, wait.
Ian, who are you saving?
For probably the last time, maybe on the selection table ever, Paddy Dow.
Oh!
Are you going to play him in? Are you going to play him in this
center?
Spot?
Let's chuck him in the... Oh, actually, no, we'll go Rock Rover or Rover. No, that spot there. I don't even call it. What do we call it? It's not even called that anymore. So what do we call that position?
Well, to be honest, they just put anyone there now, but it used to be Rock Rover and Rover, didn't it? Back in the day. Yeah, back in the glory days. God, that makes it hard for me.
It does.
There's too many mids that I like. I can't trust chat.
Thank you, Pom. I really needed you to do that. We've got Walsh, we've got Akers, Hewitt, Hollins, we've got Cripps, we've got Hewitt, Walsh, Akers, Walsh,
Walsh looks like
I think
he's.
Akers and Walsh are in. Hewitt, Doc. Gee, we've got a lot of midfielders, don't we? You really stuffed this up by putting Cow in the fucking field.
Is that the lovely Bridget as well, who did the wonderful video of me losing my shit and then getting excited? Make yourself known, the wonderful Bridget.
Akers and Walsh.
Sars
Akers
has gone
and Walsh,
TDK.
Akers
It
and
looks
Walsh.
like Akers and Hewitt as a lock. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, agree. But Walsh is there a lot, but we need a ruckman at this point, so it's going to have to be.
Okay, you know what?
Yeah, good call.
We'll do something we've never done before.
The sheer weight of numbers, we can't miss Walsh. So, TDK ruck. No one said.
You know what? I'll make it easier.
Flip on both. Who needs it?
I'll make it easier. I will put my TDK, my first pick for forward as Walsh. There you are. You've made my mind up. Okay, Lekdog, forward.
Forward, I will be playing. Let me assess my numbers. Jack Martin. You don't get your way, Ian.
I'm happy to make sure that man's whatever allows him to stay in the team for finals. That's what I want.
Mr. Ian.
I will save Harry Mackay, please.
I can't.
None of this just Charlie Curnow down there nonsense. Look how good he plays when Harry's in there. Man of the match.
Harry
allows him to go down into defense.
Chat,
Charlie.
Chat, you've got 3 forwards. So we've got, just to let you know, chat, you know I love you. I tell you I love you every stream. So one of them names better be fucking Charlie Curnow, chat. Don't take the piss. Now's not the time to
Charlie
have a bit of pants.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, David. Thank you, Jay, Max.
I think this is already.
I had to make Pommy sweat. Come on.
This is why I love you, chat. This is why I love you, chat. You say, when Terry says, "Oh, Pommy, you shouldn't trust chat." This is why I trust you, chat. Say, this is why I trust you.
Charlie and Motlop are definitely in.
Who's the last one?
Owies Fog is close.
I think Owies and Fog is tight. I think it's Owies. Yeah, there's a few Owies coming through. Yeah, Owies just sneaks ahead of Fog. So currently don't have the captain or the spiritual leader of the team. Anyway, I'll just not to sway anyone.
Lekdog, you're just using the pom trick. Just play to the heartstrings. Play to the heartstrings. Right, so we have got to tell you what, chat. We are in dire straits here because I can only save one of my boys. Yeah. Lekdog, who are you saving?
I'm just trying to work out who's in the team.
Me too.
So what forwards do we have? Yeah, no, I can see. We've got Martin, Owies, Motlop, Charlie, Harry, Martin, and Walsh. That's fine. I'm happy with that. I'm going to save Sam Doherty. Sam Doherty is going to be on our bench.
Tell you what, this is tough, isn't it? I mean, tell you what.
It was a coward's way out.
Doherty, Mr. Ian, who are you saving?
The one, the only Pom Cotter.
Oh, makes it easier. Look, Pom boys are saved. The Pom boys are saved.
I did you dirty with Charlie, so I had to save you there.
Cottrell, Cripps, Cunningham, Ed, Fogarty, Kennedy, Pitternet. Oh, God. I don't want to shoot Bambi. I don't want to shoot Cunningham, but he definitely needs the rest.
Let's look at the team. We've got a defender. We've got an extra mid with Walsh rotating.
I'm doing it. Look, Pom teams, the captain never rests.
Oh, no rest for the gripper.
Doesn't need it.
You just sub him off at half time anyway when we're 100 points up.
Mate, he's superhuman. Do you know what I mean? He once killed a cow on his farm with a stare.
So the lads, the chat get the final interchange and the final sub. They're choosing from Cottrell, Cunningham, Ed Curnow, Fogarty, Kennedy, and Pitternet.
And whoever your second name is the sub.
Yeah, I think Fog is the first in.
Fog was in the forward line. Fog was said about 10,000 times. So
okay, so Fog is Fog. Chat, give us a sub. Fog Ed. That's
Lucky Jack
Fog
with a
Cotters.
sensible suggestion. Where are we?
Fog Cotters.
Rowan says Ed.
Fog. Cotters is getting a lot of love. I reckon
Cotters is coming in. We might have to go sort of next couple win.
Okay, right. Chat. Put 1 for Fogarty, 2 for Cottrell, who is the last player starting, whichever. So if you want Fog to start, 1. If you want Cotters to start, 2.
This is tight. See how tough this is getting? Imagine what's going on at the club right now. 1.
Fucking hell, look.
It's split. Hang on.
Wait. 2. What?
Right, 1 is winning. 1 is winning. Thank you, Peter, for typing 3. Absolute trolling.
Pick number 3, my lord.
Which one wins?
Yeah, number 1. Number 1. So whoever number 1 was.
That was Cottrell, wasn't it?
Cottrell's in.
Well, Fog was 1. Cottrell was second 2.
Sure. I believe you.
Wasn't I in?
That's the one. That is the one.
I was right, wasn't I?
Yeah, 100%.
I didn't
That
lie.
means Cottrell's going to go to the sub, right?
Always correct.
So we definitely haven't named this week's team.
You never know. So Walsh, Chera, McGovern,
Gov, Fogarty.
Chera, Walsh, McGovern, Fogarty.
and
Out, Marchbank, Pitt, Cunners, and I think Ed.
Cottrell.
No, he's not.
Ed slash
in and
Cottrell.
out and in at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's right, isn't it?
Yep.
Let's chat. What a show.
Gee whiz.
What a team.
I actually reckon that's the best team caliber-wise. Jesus, Pom's been on the Hong Kongs. Mate, last time you said that. Fog was 1, so I was right in the end, wasn't I? Fog.
Yeah.
I was. So, okay, cool. Right, so chat, thank you very much for joining us. You are the best. You can check Lekdog. Lekdog, is this your last ever show this week?
We dropped last night, so it's worth a listen. There's very little super coach. It's just kind of talking about some of the stuff we've done in the past. It's probably not worth a listen, to be honest. If you've never listened before, there's a lot of references you won't get. But yes, the last Jock Reynolds Super Coach podcast dropped last night. The last two articles will drop later this week, and then I will do something different with my time.
End of an era.
It's been going for literally like 10 or 11 years, maybe longer.
I vote next year we have a Pom and Lekdog show.
I mean, look, it seems inevitable, doesn't it?
It's what the people want.
Sure.
Ian, talk to us what you're doing this week.
Yeah, so those that are paying attention, Lockie, my co-host, has been in Europe for 8 weeks. Finally tracked him down, got him on to review the Gold Coast game. Half of it is literally just spent us talking about finals, talking about what it means. So a massive, massive episode with a lot of emotion on it. So it was a good one. Navy Blue Corner is where it is on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And look, I'll be honest, if I got time, there'll be a match build up for GWS. I doubt it at this stage, but doing the match reviews every single week, and then we hit finals, and there's going to be a lot of content. So if you need more Carlton content in your life, Navy Blue Corner is the place to find it.
It is indeed. It's POM certified, that channel as well.
Do we need to do a watch along of the 2013 finals and maybe the 2011 finals?
That'd be big.
Just dropping some ideas.
We could do. Well,
like that.
Work that one out. After this, we have a world's exclusive. Thank you to the Carlton Football Club that allowed it to happen and arranged it. Matt Duffy debuts in Australian media right after this show on this channel. Exclusive interview. He's a great kid. Get around him. You learn a lot about him. He's a chirpy sort and he speaks English, which is good. It's English legible as well. You understand it. I will be back next week with these boys. We're going to do a live, as requested by Lockie Jack, Gav Whelan. About 1,000 of you asked, could we do a best 23 selection table? So next week, everyone is on the table and we'll argue with it. Me and Lekdog are back Friday for final teams. That's good fun. We've got a very special surprise for you on it as well, as per Lekdog's request. And we'll probably find something to do, some watch along in the week off. Me and Lekdog and Ian maybe get some beers next week. Anyway, we'll get pissed next week. We'll argue it out. But chat, make sure you like and subscribe. Look after you. Peace, love. Bye.
Up the Blues.